Okay, so do you mind saying your name, your major, and your year, and I guess what you're doing here today?
What am I doing? Okay, cool. My name is Caitlin Martin. I'm a fourth-year senior, about to graduate. I'm majoring in fashion merchandising, and I also have the sustainability certificate and a global health minor. Today, I am working with the sustainability office, and what we're doing this semester with my job in particular, which is a zero waste intern, which is also open for fall applications right now, is inputting new signage in 3 trial buildings. So we're doing it in Corral Hall, Connor, and Dawson. We're doing 3 different signage approaches. So the first 2 in Corral Hall, which is where we are now, will be product transformative signage. So these will show people that the PET that you're recycling in the container is directly going into the stream and can make things such as the carpet products in Dalton, Georgia, which is a significant asset to the Georgia economy, as well as the aluminum that goes into the recycling that can be put back on a shelf in 30 days, as well as it can be made into Ford bedding through Novelis, who is one of the vendors that sells it to the different companies. We're also working with inspirational signage. So we're going to be putting up these in Dawson Hall, so playing off of the fact that service dogs are very important to our campus, and that can trigger sort of like an emotional tie with people and then help them be able to recognize a message. And then we're also just doing a straight up informational signage, so yes and no, what goes in the bin and what doesn't. And this is important for Athens-Clarke County because when you're recycling, there is a recycling contamination rate, and of course we don't want the things that are contaminating the stream to go in there. So our main contaminants for Athens-Clarke County, as well as most other counties in the United States, are food, foam, and film. So no food residue, empty out like your bar burritos, nachos containers, all of that stuff. No film plastics, so grocery bags, bread bags, packaging, and then also styrofoam. So all the Chick-fil-A cups, all of your like Chinese food that might be coming in there, those things cannot be recycled. But luckily, those things can go to CHARM aside from food. And the CHARM is the Center for Hard to Recycle Materials, and foam and film are free there.
Sweet.
There's a little spiel for them.
So I guess with your perspective as a UGA student, and also being someone who's like interned with the recycling center, what tips, or I guess what problems do you see that need to be addressed with UGA students? Like what are things that need to be improved with UGA students?
Cool. So I think the main thing is that there is like this dialogue circulating, and it's been circulating for a while, that people are like, oh, well, if you recycle something, it just goes to the landfill anyway. Things only go to the landfill that are technically in the recycling if you recycle wrong. So like I mentioned earlier, if there is food contaminants, foam and film, those will be sent to the landfill within that entire recycling load because that is contaminated. And the reason is because at the material recovery facility, they can't process stuff like that. There are human workers working in the facility helping sort out along a conveyor belt, and it's unfair for their health and safety, for them having to deal with hazardous materials, for them having to deal with any pests that might be making its way into the recycling, as well as film plastic, which jars all of the like the gears that like keep everything going. So when you're processing 80 tons of recycling a day, and that sort of like manufacturing is halted by film plastic, it's a significant issue. And so I think that's the number one thing to debunk that. If you're recycling, it will only be sort of like tainted if there are wish cyclers that are putting stuff in them that shouldn't be. Another thing is just sort of like an asset like caring. So a lot of people aren't able to readily make the connection between like, oh, look, if I'm recycling this, like this is the last time I'm gonna see it, like it's not gonna help me, so like if it goes in the wrong thing, like it doesn't really matter. But like I mentioned earlier with our signage, it is a tremendous asset for the Georgia economy. In Athens-Clarke County, the recycling jobs are about 18 to 1. So if you think about all the people that are employed at the material recovery facility, all of the collections workers that are hauling recycling in landfill, myself working the recycling division, we have like at least 12 workers in that office, as well as the people that are working with the sustainability office. So because of recycling in Athens-Clarke County, I have 2 jobs right now. And I think that's significant for people to sort of like get their eyes on. Also, all over UGA campus, the carpet that I mentioned earlier, UGA campus is carpeted with that in most areas. And I'm trying to think, what else?
So essentially, like, students need to be
Recognize,
able to connect the dots between the
Right.
products that they're using and seeing like applicable real world.
right, exactly. And that's one of the main things, like why we started to focus on this like product transformation is just because, you know, it might be simple thinking that, you know, your aluminum can goes into your new Ford F-150. But a lot of people don't know that, and it is important to connect those, and it's important to think about all of the jobs that are generated, and then moving forward with the recycling industry. There's a lot to be improved on, but if we can continue to make a more circular economy, then people will benefit more. So I think it's just like recognizing like the true cost and the value of it. As far as other things on campus, the one that I'll end with is just, even though something is recyclable and even though, yes, it can benefit the economy, we have a ton of recyclables. And it's okay if you use your like reusable mug, reusable spoons and forks, plates, Tupperware, anything like that on campus, like, because there is a lot of recycling. There is a big excess of it right now that is literally just like stalling in the United States because of the green sword that China launched on us, because they're not taking our recyclables anymore. And because, I mean, yes, there definitely is, there's a lot of things that can be done with it, but at the rate at which we are discarding things, it's really hard. And if you can imagine, like, even in our material recovery facility, there are just like, you know, 2-ton bales of recycling just piling up, you know, waiting to be sent off places. So, you know, it is valuable for vendors, but they also have a set amount for production. So just thinking about like being more mindful when you're shopping and even when you're just grabbing food on campus, like if you can stick a spoon and a fork in your backpack